the Romans would basically make them leave their office. They would lose their position, and they basically enjoyed that. They enjoyed being seen by people praying in public. You know, I'm sure you're familiar with them scriptures. They're basically the hypocrites. They were rich. They gave a lot of money because they were rich. You know,
but they did keep laws like washing cups. And when you read Matthew the 23rd chapter,
no law says washing cups. That's a tradition.
Okay, but the Bible does in the law talk about being clean, doing things that are clean.
Yes, but it's nothing about washing cups or washing your hands. Okay, that's not in the law.
The Lord even tells you that.
Yeah. I know you probably find like a parable about what goes into the mouth. It's not even talking about food.
If that was the case,
it's talking about doctrines, philosophies.
Right.
Okay? That's what it's talking about.
That's why the Lord also said that by the words which you shall speak shall condemn you or
Wait a minute.
justify.
Now, when you set up the context for that,
so if
he
you
went to
say-
eat without washing his hands. And the
His
Pharisees,
disciples did.
it was Christ, went to eat without washing his hands. And they took note of that. The Pharisees.
It was the disciples. But it doesn't matter. Right, the disciples.
Okay.
All right, good. The point is, all right, yeah.
But my point being that they weren't doing the practical, physical thing.
They weren't keeping the traditions that is like common sense. Like you would normally wash your hands, but they were hungry, so they heard and started eating. Okay, and the Pharisees had a problem with that. Okay, now they didn't have pork on their hands. They didn't have abominable seafood in their hands.
They ate
okay,
kosher. I know that.
so the thing that goes into the mouth, it wasn't talking about actual food. Okay, we can get that. Matter of fact, yes, get that, because the Lord actually, if you continue to read the whole thing, it actually tells you what he's talking about.
So if you, here, right, but, so okay, if you use how you're applying it, he says not everything that goes into the mouth.
Breaking the law.
Right. No, you just have philosophies, doctrines, bad teachings, in other words. So you're pretty much saying if you ingest, metaphorically, bad teachings, that's not what's going to defile.
We're going to read.
Do you understand what I'm saying? You're saying taking in philosophies, doctrines.
We're going to read to make it clear.
So Matthew, what you read in Matthew, so it's saying you can eat whatever you want, right?
Well, Christ is saying that not washing your hands is not the issue. That's what he's saying. It's not what goes in you that defiles you.
Good.
It's
So
what
you
comes
can-
out of you,
so you can eat
because
what
that
you want.
reflects what's in your heart. That was the point of what Jesus was saying.
Correct.
So you can't say philosophies and doctrines, if you ingest that, that's not what defiles you, because we know that that can. So how can you apply that metaphor to doctrines and traditions and
Like I was
things?
saying, so you can eat whatever you want.
Food for thought. I might have got mixed up on what verse you were saying, but you're absolutely correct on the statement you just made. That's what the thing was. He was saying that what you wash your hands, it doesn't make you dirty, okay? But what comes out of your mouth, okay? Which is that false doctrines. That's what I actually meant. I got mixed up on what end of the scripture you were talking about.
I got a precept on that, scribe and Pharisee.
And I'm still with Romans 12 and 14. But yeah, go ahead.
It's Matthew 23 and 1. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
Yeah, man, they in the seat of authority. They're on the law, put forth judgments. Good.
All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do.
Yeah, meaning not if they were breaking the law, because if he's seen them breaking the law, he don't want them to do that.
Okay.
But he did say observe whatever they do. But it's not talking about if they see them breaking the law, don't
So they
break the law.
did keep commandments.
Yes.
But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers.
So they would basically be hypocrites. They'd be actors.
They would tell them all the laws that they're supposed to follow, and then they themselves, the scribes and Pharisees, wouldn't be following the laws. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments.
Yeah. Glorious garments,
Yeah, they ain't doing it for the glory of the Most High. They're doing it for their own vain, glory. And love the uppermost rooms at feasts and the chief seats in the synagogue. Yeah.
Romans 2 verse 17. Behold, thou art called a Jew and restest in the law, and makest thy boast of God, and knowest his will, and approvest the things that
That's
are
very important. What's the Lord's will? What's the Lord's will?
things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law, and art confident that thou thyself art a God of the blind, and a light of them which are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law. Thou therefore
You know what an instructor of babes is, right?
I'm learning. Are you referring to? Educated?
Thou therefore which teaches another, teachest thou not thyself? Thou that preachest a man should not steal, doest thou steal? Thou that says a man shall not commit adultery, doest thou commit adultery?
So the Pharisees and Sadducees were doing all these things, and you maybe couldn't prove it, but the Lord, can obviously read your mind, okay, and know what you're doing, okay.
Absolutely.
Thou that sayest a man should not commit adultery, doest thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest idols, doest thou commit sacrilege? Thou that makest thy boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonors thou God.
Breaking the law dishonors thou God.
Bad position.
So it was a dishonorable thing to break the law. That's pretty much the point. I don't want to say too much more of that, but there you go. Read that last part again. So you gotta understand that there is a heavy emphasis on keeping the law. Okay? And the scriptures also prophesy about rehearsing righteous acts, which the righteous acts are the law. Meaning that once you learn about the law, it's something you can do. You got no excuse not to do it. Okay? You got no excuse not to do it. Okay? Of course, you practice.
It's
That's why we're under
Ecclesiastes.
grace.
Come on.
We're under grace so we can get it right and become that perfect vessel when the Lord comes to look at us.
It's Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
And that man is referring to Israel first, and then the other nations. Because the other nations in the kingdom are going to be keeping the commandments.
The way they're going to keep the commandments, we're going to have to beat the commandments into them.
Yeah, they worship Allah and Buddha, so that rod of iron, that's going to correct them,
Peace, brothers, peace.
Shalom.
This is Sirach 15 verse 20. He have commanded no man to do wickedly, neither have he given any man license to sin.
Wickedly, breaking the laws. Not ashamed to break the laws.